Every year, more than 1 billion people walk through IKEA stores. They buy furniture they have to assemble themselves. They navigate a maze-like showroom. They load flat boxes into their own cars, and somehow, they love it. IKEA isn't just a furniture company. It's one of the most sophisticated supply chain systems ever built, hiding in plain sight. This is the story of how IKEA built the flat-pack supply chain that took over the world, and why its logistics model is almost impossible to copy. How IKEA built the flat-pack supply chain that took over the world. Furniture used to be expensive, heavy, bulky, slow to deliver, costly to store. In the 1940s, transporting furniture meant large trucks, low load utilization, high damage, high warehousing costs. For a young Swedish entrepreneur named Ingvar Kamprad, this was unacceptable. His vision was radical: create good furniture that many people can afford. But affordability wasn't a design problem, it was a supply chain problem. The question IKEA asked wasn't, how do we make better furniture? It was, how do we remove cost at every step from factory to living room? The breakthrough came from a simple accident. A table wouldn't fit into a car, someone removed the legs, and just like that, the flat-pack concept was born. But flat-pack wasn't just packaging, it was a complete redesign of the supply chain. What flat-pack changed? Up to 70 to 80% reduction in transport volume. Higher truck fill rates. Lower storage costs. Less damage in transit. Faster global scaling. Instead of shipping air, IKEA shipped density. But here's the real genius. IKEA didn't just flatten furniture, it redesigned products, packaging, factories and stores together. That's not logistics optimization, that's system design. Most companies design products first, and ask logistics to figure it out later. IKEA flipped that. At IKEA, designers sit next to engineers. Engineers sit next to supply chain teams. Cost, packaging and transport are considered before aesthetics. Every product must pass the pack spots. From height, can it be packed into a rectangle? Can it stack efficiently? Can it survive global shipping? Can customers assemble it easily? This philosophy is called design for logistics. It's why IKEA. Bookshelves are modular. Screws are standardized. Materials are chosen for weight, not just look. The supply chain doesn't support the product serves the supply chain. IKEA doesn't own most of its factories. Instead, it orchestrates a global manufacturing network of more than 1,600 suppliers across 50-plus countries. But this isn't outsourcing for cheap labor. IKEA locks in long-term supplier partnerships, invests directly in supplier automation, shares production forecasts years in advance, co-develops machinery and materials. In return, suppliers commit to extreme efficiency, standardized components, continuous cost reduction. This creates something powerful: economies of learning, not just economies of scale. The more IKEA produces, the cheaper it gets, without cutting quality. IKEA stores are not retail stores, they are logistics nodes. Let's break it down. 1. The showroom upstairs, you browse inspiration. Downstairs, you enter the warehouse. 2. Self-service picking, customers pick products directly from pallet racks. No backroom labor, no store replenishment complexity. 3. Pallet-to-floor flow products arrive pre-packaged for direct shelf placement, minimal handling, maximum velocity. 4. Customer as the last-mile customers. Transport items home, assemble them, handle returns carefully, because effort, bond, ownership. This removes last-mile delivery cost, installation labor, damage risk. IKEA didn't eliminate cost by squeezing suppliers, it eliminated cost by redesigning the entire retail experience. IKEA operates at brutal scale. 400-plus stores, 60-plus markets, millions of cubic meters of inventory. To manage this, IKEA relies on long planning horizons, stable product life cycles, years, not months, fewer SKUs per category, centralized forecasting. Unlike fast fashion, IKEA values predictability over speed. That allows bulk production, lower unit cost, fewer supply shocks, high availability. Where Zara is fast, IKEA is relentless. IKEA realized something early: waste is cost. So sustainability became a logistics decision, not a marketing one. Examples: renewable materials, lightweight designs, flat pack reduces emissions per unit, furniture designed for disassembly, circular programs, buyback, resale. These initiatives reduce long-term risk, stabilize material supply, lower regulatory exposure. Sustainability isn't a trade-off, it's a supply chain hedge. Many companies tried to copy IKEA. Most failed. Why? Because you can't copy one piece of IKEA. You'd need product redesign, supplier re-engineering, store redesign, customer behavior change, culture shift. IKEA didn't build a supply chain, it built a system where every part reinforces the other. That's the real moat. IKEA didn't win furniture by being stylish, it won by being systematic. By flattening furniture, IKEA flattened costs, risks, and complexity, and in doing so, it built one of the most efficient supply chains the world has ever seen. This is why IKEA isn't just a retailer, it's a supply chain legend. Supply Chain Legends series, Onans, Babad Dendan Super Sponsor Brinsi, Bogans Trikans. Learn how the greats built their empires. Subscribe for more such stories on Supply Chain Legends.